Louisiana Football Magazine is sponsored by Southern Bell Catering. Visit us today for all of your full-service catering needs. Southern Bell Catering.
Welcome back to Louisiana Football TV Magazine. That was pretty quick, the camera. I wasn't ready, but we got it. We made it work. We're going to talk about the playoffs later in the show. That'll be the buzz. I can't mention every high school, so if you're a parent and you're mad at me, remind me next show and call in and we'll talk about your team. But we can't mention all 25, 30 area teams, but we'll try to do our best to mention as many as we can. A very emotional time for a lot of parents. The season's almost over. The career is almost over. Kids are graduating in May. They're going to college or they're going to college to be students. And without waiting any longer, we'll talk a little about that with Coach Jerry Stovall. Coach.
Lee, how are you?
You doing pretty good?
Good.
Appreciate you coming back a second time.
Thank you.
The food must have been good the first time.
Food's good, fellowship's wonderful. How can you say no?
A lot of questions. I mean, we talked before the show about some fun stuff, but tell everybody what you're doing now. We'll go backwards instead of forward.
Okay.
We'll go to the end, but what are you doing
Well, Lee,
now?
I'm president of the Baton Rouge Area Sports Foundation, which you know, and we're simply a 501c6 nonprofit. We bring athletic competitors to town with their travel party, their families. We do it basically when school is out, establish vacations when the entire family can travel. And we have an economic impact on our community on an annual basis of about $30 million. So it's a lot of fun. We work with all of the facility owners, which are LSU, Southern, and Breck, our recreational department. We work with a lot of high school coaches and athletic directors that I've known over 20 or 30 years. So it's basically a lot of fun, still working with young athletes and just watching them participate.
And Coach is basically like an AD right now with a $30 million budget. A lot of pressure, but fun pressure, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's you don't have a lot of the phone calls at night unless there's something you can, in fact, correct.
Right. Coach was the head coach at LSU. I remember a game with my dad. It sticks out. You know, certain times and moments stick out, but the '82 Alabama game at Alabama, Paul Bear Bryant, almost the end of his career, Dalton Hilliard has the freakiest game I've ever seen in my life, and I'm 9 watching this game and watch Dalton run through 5 guys with his legs, scoring a touchdown. Alan Richard was your quarterback.
Right.
Beat the Bear at Alabama.
Yeah.
And how many yards did they have on offense?
Well, they had no first downs in the first 30 minutes, and I think that was the impressive thing, because that group was a bunch of overachievers, if anything. But they played well together. They were very disciplined. They did an awful lot of good, I think, to reestablish LSU.
We talked about off there a little bit the golden age of LSU football.
Yeah.
That's kind of hard to answer.
Well, I think it's impossible, because if you start looking at the size, weight, and speed, look at the young man you had earlier. My goodness, I didn't play against anybody that big in pro for 9 years.
Right.
So you look at the size, you look at the ability of the equipment, you look at the conditioning and coordinating that they have now, so much better. But you can't compare one today to, say, a Fred Miller. If you want the best lineman in LSU history, to me, it's Fred Miller, because he played both sides of the ball. Today, you're a specialist. You're an offensive guard. You put your right hand down, and you never put another hand on the ground. So it's hard, I think, to establish the golden era. I think they're all good.
Coach, how big was Fred Miller in the day? I mean, back a few years.
When he was playing at LSU, he was probably 6'2" and about 220, 25 pounds, and that was huge.
And I remember growing up, I looked at my football cards after about 20 years, and I looked at Jack Lambert from the Steelers. 14-time All-Pro, 14 years All-Pro, 6'4", 205 linebacker.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It is amazing when you look at the size of them today and the talent they have. It's incredible by comparison.
Rocky Bleier, if you're over 40, you might remember Rocky Bleier. Notre Dame grad, 5'8", 180, fullback, Steelers.
Super Bowl team several times.
That was during your time of playing, huh, Coach?
Yeah,
the Cardinals.
We had to defense those guys, and it was kind of tough to do. Terry Bradshaw from Louisiana Tech, the quarterback. So yeah. You
were mentioning to me off the air the pressure of moving up a level, speed level, during the headlights level. You're a DB with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
You're facing the Cowboys on TV. You're a rookie.
Yeah.
And you saw what speed really is.
Oh yeah, I was assigned to the tight end, and I had him covered, and that's when he was in his formation. The ball is snapped, and he disappears. He vaporized. So I lost him with all the speed somewhere. Then went 2 plays in a row, and then Larry Wilson, who was my roommate and defensive signal caller, suggested I either get my head screwed on straight or get to the sideline real quickly.
And Coach told me that was Billy Joe Dupree, who played 12, 13, 14 years for the Cowboys with a great quarterback at the time.
Roger Stovall.
Was it Roger throwing the ball, Coach?
He was throwing some, yeah.
Some.
But you know, that's when you had Tom Landry as the coach, and they'd come in as a developmental and expansion league and a team, but became Super Bowl champions very, very quickly.
What was your most memorable moment as a pro player? Is there one night, day, game, week that sticks out to you in NFL? You were a punter, you played DB?
I was a punter, defensive back, covered special teams, return punts and kickoffs. I think probably the first time as a defensive back, you intercept a ball and run it back for a touchdown, you remember, because you don't really get to do that very much. It's kind of exciting. The sheer marvel to me was that I was playing at that level. I never thought I could play above high school, and I'm very blessed. I got a chance to play for 2 wonderful coaches at LSU and then 9 years in the NFL, and it was all fun for me.
We were talking about D lineman. Glenn Dorsey won the Outland on Lombardi. He won everything. I think he won 5 trophies.
Yeah.
You had some good players, Ramsey Dardar.
Well, Ramsey Dardar and
Henry
Lenny
Thomas.
Marshall and
Leonard
Henry
Marshall.
Thomas, very, very good. It would have been interesting to see them play against someone like Dorsey, but they're all good in the tradition and the lifeline there.
Like you said, it's hard to pick one guy.
Oh,
You know, that was the greatest.
When you start picking centennial teams or all pros or things like that, I think it's very difficult to do.
Where would you put Tommy Casanova as a DB?
One of the best.
2-time All-American.
And he's just he's one of those brilliant guys that has incredible physical speed and talent, and used it well. Use it as an intellectual. I think he was as good a student of football as he was in the classroom.
Coach, we're going to come back and talk about the spread offense,
Okay.
which I think we talked off the air about what has amazed you in the timeline of changes in college football. Equalizing the game, putting 5 receivers in, 5 great DBs, if you have 5 great DBs.
If you do.
And they're not true freshmen. We'll talk about that with LSU. We'll be back in just a moment. More of Jerry Stovall, Coach Stovall. Later in the show, we've got 2 great recruits from Zachary High School. We'll be back in just a moment.
Got plumbing problems? Call Central Plumbing Company. Since 1974, Central Plumbing has been the premier full-service plumbing company in the Baton Rouge area. With more than 20 licensed bonded plumbers on staff and a fleet 20 trucks strong, Central Plumbing can take care of your plumbing problem 24/7. Sewer and drain service, leak detection, trenchless pipe replacement, and now a commercial division. So why call anyone but the best to take care of your plumbing problems? Central Plumbing Company, your one-stop plumbing shop. 925-8552.
At Peak Performance Physical Therapy, we use a combination of the latest in rehabilitation technology along with one-on-one manual therapy techniques.
We have 7 locations to serve you. 3 in Baton Rouge, Denham Springs, Prairieville, Gonzales, and Bruley.
The athlete relies on more than 400 bones and joints. And when they don't work together, you can trust one team that's equally committed to keeping you in the game. At the Bone and Joint Clinic of Baton Rouge, our dedicated sports medicine physicians work with athletes every day to make healing as painless and simple as possible. Because we know where you'd rather be.
At Gulf Coast Office Products, we're at pace with the future, offering leading technology and multifunctional office equipment. Whether it's copying, printing, scanning, or faxing, you'll receive the best in quality right here locally.
Gulf Coast has been an integral partner in providing the technology for our company's growth.
From full-color imaging equipment to document imaging software for storage and retrieval, we're leading the way. Gulf Coast Office Products, excellence in imaging solutions.
The aquatic therapy is a nice alternative to where we can get them in the water, get them to unweight themselves.
We have 7 locations to serve you. 3 in Baton Rouge, Denham Springs, Prairieville, Gonzales, and Bruley.